Hello guys, so continuing renal pathology, today's topic is post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis, PSGN. This is one of the most important topic. Okay, so first as usual, like yesterday in one of the previous video I have told you how to remember nephrotic and nephritic syndrome. So post-streptococcal glomerulonephritis is nothing but nephritic syndrome, which is immune complex mediated, and main feature is hematuria, oliguria, hypertension, azotemia. This is just the previous revision. So remember, PSGN is nephritic syndrome. So before starting this, again few basics. These are basic histological findings. Normally in this chapter, entire histological findings, it is based on these points. So first let us understand what is this. See, whenever you hear the word diffuse, this is nothing but all the glomerulus. Whenever we hear the word focal, this is few, only few glomerulus. Whenever we hear the word global, like it is entire glomerulus. Whenever we hear the word segmental, this means half of the segment. Like there may be many, but only half of the segment it is present. So that is segmental. And whenever you hear the word proliferative, it is nothing but hypercellular glomerulus. It can be anything. Proliferation may be because of neutrophils or monocytes, anything. Whenever we hear the word membranous, it is nothing but thickening of glomerular basement membrane. Okay, this is the basic. Now starting with PSGN. As the name indicates, this is streptococcus caused by streptococcus. So this is the one which is seen in pediatric age group, that is mainly 16 to 14-year-old, and it is mainly caused because of group A streptococcus. So small micro link, streptococcus, it is divided into alpha and beta hemolytic. Alpha hemolytic is the one which has streptococcus pneumoniae and viridans, while beta hemolytic has group A and group B. Group A are nothing but streptococci pyogenes, whereas B are nothing but agalactiae. Again, agalactiae are group B. Therefore, it causes meningitis in babies. And when I say pyogens, P for PSGN. Viridins are the one which causes subacute infective endocarditis. This is just the microlink. And remember, here the virulence factor in group A streptococcus is M protein, and the strains are mainly 1414. So that is not that important. Remember, it is group A streptococcus. Now this is, as usual, I told, immune complex mediated and type 3 hypersensitivity reaction. So how to remember hypersensitivity reaction? Small mnemonic, that is acid. This is type 1, this is type 2, type 3 and type 4. Type 1 hypersensitivity, allergic, asthma, anaphylaxis, anything which starts with A, though there are lots of exceptions, but I have just included important points. And whenever I say group C, whenever I say C, it is nothing but cytotoxic. Whenever I say I, it is nothing but immune complex mediated. Whenever I say D, it is delayed reaction, diabetes, dermatitis, diagnosis of TB. So as I told here, immune complex is type 3. Okay, hypersensitivity is type 3. So what is the basic findings? First, there will be, as usual, group A streptococcus. So first there will be pharyngitis or sore throat. Along with that, sometimes patient may present with impetigo, that is nothing but rashes on the skin. Coming to the formalin, the main drug which is used in impetigo is mupirocin. This is a topical agent which you use because these are the orangish color rashes which is present mainly near the mouth. Now after that, see, after pharyngitis or sore throat, after 14 days, patient presents with diffuse glomerulonephritis. I have told you, when I say the word diffuse means all the glomerulus are involved. So he presents with diffuse glomerular nephritis. Now the question is, why there is a gap of 14 days? This is because I told it is immune complex mediated. So first though this is antigen. After antigen comes, there should be formation of antibody, then there should be formation of immune complex. So basically all this takes time. So therefore there is gap of 14 days. Then you can see diffuse glomerulonephritis. After that, okay, one more important thing is which are the antibodies involved. So it mainly involves anti-DNase B and anti-streptolysin O. Remember, DNase B is the better, like this is most common one. So anti-DNase B and anti-streptolysin O. After that, because of this, I told you, because of immune complex complement system get activated. I have explained this pathogenesis in nephritic syndrome itself. So because there is activation of complement system, that is there is hypocomplementemia, there is decrease in C3 level in blood, but it is only transient. It is only for that period, that is when the person is having disease, only that time there is fall in C3 level. After sometimes it comes to normal level. Therefore we say this is self limiting, that is after 6 to 8 weeks of this disease there is self recovery without any treatment. The the disease will be cured. I will explain you why is that. So first, let us understand what are the histological finding. Histologic finding, see, remember in this nephritic and nephritic, in almost all the disease, we can see light microscopy, we can see electron microscopy, and we can see immunofluorescence. So basically, when I am talking about light microscopy, both the kidneys are enlarged, that is diffuse. I have explained you. When I say hypercellular, it is nothing, even in light microscopy glomerulus, it is hypercellular. It is mainly because of lots of neutrophils and monocytes. These are light microscopy finding, diffuse and hypercellular. When I say electron microscopy, just try to understand, this is nothing but glomerular basement membrane. This is endothelium, this is epithelium. I have explained you. So basically first there will be immune complex deposition in endothelium. Then it will go to glomerular basement membrane. Then it comes and settles in epithelium. So it is mainly seen in P, epithelium, okay. And just for basics, after that what happens is this complex, it goes off, okay. Like here it is continuous, it is like this, it is like this, therefore from here it goes off. So just now remember that it is subepithelium deposits. So therefore we even say that it is subepithelium humps, because immune complex it deposits like this, which is nothing but looks like humps. So we call it as subepithelium humps. Again, coming to immunofluorescence, what we can see is starry sky pattern or granular appearance. This immunocomplex, it is not present equally. It is present in few region and it is absent in few. Therefore it gives appearance of twinkling stars, okay. So basically what is that? The immune complex is, it is made up of IgG and C3. The main thing, even IgM is also present, but main is immunoglobulin G and C3. Now coming to word starry sky. Starry sky we have even studied in one of the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, that is in Burkitt's lymphoma. We have studied that starry sky patterns. This starry appearance is macrophage, and the sky pattern was nothing but tumor cells. And one more example is PSGM. This was basic light, again revising light microscopy, diffuse and proliferative electron microscopy, remember subepithelium hump, and immunofluorescence, starry sky or granular. Now what are the lab findings? Lab findings are nothing but RBC cast can be seen. This is the basic one which I told in nephritic syndrome, and azotemia. This I have explained why there is azotemia and RBC cast. Again, the main important thing is in blood for transient or for some period of time there is decrease in C3 level, and there is also increase in antibodies. I have told you ASO, that is anti-streptolysin O, and anti-DNase B antibodies are formed. And what is the clinical feature? This is important for us. Clinical feature, see, it is mainly seen in children. So in children we will not go to measure BP or anything. So therefore hypertension is mainly understood with the history of headaches. And parents usually, or even kids, can complain cola color urine or smoky or tea color urine. Everything is basically nothing but hematuria. And they can be periorbital edema, though we have studied that edema is the main feature which was seen in nephrotic syndrome. There can be periorbital edema. And again, the most important finding here is sore throat. The kid will present with history of sore throat. Then he'll think that he got cured of it. Like for 14 days there is no symptoms. After that there is hematuria. So there is history of sore throat. Now one of the most important finding is flea bitten kidney. This is nothing but our kidney. So what happens is, because of hypertension there is damage of vessels. The surface vessels get damaged, because of which there is formation of pinpoint hemorrhages. So when I consider kidney, there is formation of pinpoint hemorrhages. And you know, when you see grossly, it looks like very angry kidney, because there are a lot of hemorrhages seen, and it is mainly because of hypertension. Again, the flea bitten kidney is not only the feature which is seen in PSGN, it is even seen in vasculitis, it is even seen in it is seen in PSGN, as I told. It is even seen in vasculitis, it is seen in leukemia, and it is seen in many other diseases also, and most important, it is seen in malignant hypertension. So remember, it is also seen in infective endocarditis. So you can remember the VIP, vasculitis, infective endocarditis, and PSGN. And most important, even if you forget this, it's okay, but don't forget malignant hypertension, where the main identifying feature is flea bitten kidney. That is pinpoint hemorrhages on kidney, which is the gross finding. Then what is the treatment? As I told, it is supportive treatment, because the disease is, self recovery will happen. What is supportive treatment? That is nothing but treat the hypertension, treat the edema, and since there is, lot of proteinuria, decrease intake of protein. This all are supportive treatment, and with few shots of antibiotics, this disease will be gone. Now, after studying so many things, now how to remember this? That is the important one. What to write in exam? So I have like easiest mnemonic of all time. Like, it is PSGN itself. We know that PSGN, remember, okay, I have not told you that, it is also known as acute proliferative glomerulonephritis. I have told you why it is acute. I have told you it is diffuse proliferative glomerulonephritis. Everything is same. You now starting with P. P is nothing but pediatric age group, and there is subepithelium humps. Remember, it is not subendothelium, because subendothelium humps is seen in some other disease. So it is P for pediatrics, P for subepithelium, S for starry sky, G for granular. Both are immunofluorescence findings, that is starry sky and granular. And what is granular in that? In that, it is IgG and C3 immune complex, I have told you. And again, G for, you can remember, gas, that is group A streptococci. This is nothing but subepithelium hump. This is our hump. So PSGN is itself, it is having all the feature. It is also known as acute proliferative glomerulonephritis or diffuse glomerulonephritis. Why did I use the word acute? Because ASO is the antibody which is present, anti-streptolysin O. And for A, remember, angry. Angry is nothing but our flea-bitten kidney. When I say P, as usual, electron microscopy finding, that is, I told you here, it is nothing but proliferative. Light microscopy finding, light microscopy finding, that is proliferation or hypercellularity. Again, I told you immune complex mediated, so therefore it is glomerulonephritis. Therefore everything is there in name: pediatric, subepithelium, starry sky, granular, humps, angry or flea bitten kidney, anti-streptolysin O, P for proliferative, and G for glomerulonephritis. So that's it. Thank you.